Hey everybody, we've got a special treat today. We've got some great people that have moved up here from some other place, and we're not in the studio today. We're out enjoying a park in Star, Idaho. Who'd have thought? Well, I can't wait to introduce you guys, so come on, let's check it out. Hey everybody, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know, you're a great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or even relocate to the Treasure Valley. Guess who relocated to the Treasure Valley? It was Terry and Deena did. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Dave.
Wow.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming by. Let's just get it out of the way to start with. You guys came from California, right?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, we did.
Yeah.
We escaped.
So you guys are flaming liberals and drive the Prius and all that?
No.
I'm going to start throwing things
Bite
at
your
you.
tongue.
I'll be throwing acorns at you.
Nice. So you kind of like Idahoans at heart. It just took a
Yes.
while to get
Very
here.
much.
Yes.
It's exactly how it was
You
for
know,
me.
people say the Democratic Party didn't leave them. It left them. They didn't leave the party.
I think Reagan said
Kind of
that.
the same thing with California with us, I think. It just like we couldn't take anymore.
Right.
We were
Just-
losing too much being there
God.
financially and other things.
Just madness, you know. The traffic.
So do you
Horrible.
still have people down there that you talk with? Is it getting any better or worse?
Yes. No, it's getting worse.
It's not going to get better.
Yeah.
I don't think
The cost of living, the traffic is really bad. The cost of homes there, utilities, taxes, you name it.
everything, basically.
Everything.
We have
Insurance.
a friend who bought a Ioniq 5. It's an all-electric car, like a Tesla,
Right.
made by Hyundai, I believe. And she lives in Orange County, which is
Very expensive.
expensive. She ended up having to pay over $800 for a little sticker to put on her license plate.
Car registration.
And it's an all-electric car.
My goodness.
And now they want to start, they're saying that they don't collect enough money now from gasoline taxes because people are buying too many electric cars. So now they want to start taxing people by the mile.
Which means they have to track where you go.
Right,
Yes.
they're going to use the franchise tax board, I guess, and track you by the mileage, and you have to register your mileage every year. And the people that bought electric cars thought they, you know, had a good deal. Not anymore. They're getting betrayed too. You know, so and that's just one thing, one of many.
They have so many new laws there, it's scary. We just had to leave.
Yeah. Well, so how was that process? It's like, obviously you guys lived there for a long time. You probably never even thought of leaving, and then
We started thinking about leaving back after the COVID shutdown, but then we had some health issues, which we resolved, thank God. And we decided, we picked out different states we were going to go look for and just do fact finding. And Idaho was the first one on our list. And when we came here, we decided we didn't need to go anyplace else, that this had everything we needed and what we wanted, and we immediately fell in love with it and said, we're done looking. The weather, and everyone had their different views of it, but their weather is exactly what we wanted, 4 seasons. You do have to get used to the cold, but it's not that bad.
and you've been here for about 6 months, so you've been through a winter.
Yes, we did. And it wasn't bad. I mean, we're in the Treasure Valley, which is kind of like, to me, like a banana belt area. And we loved it. I mean, you know, when it gets cold, it's cold. You stay in. And the home we picked was better insulated and nicer than
much
the one
better
we had
than
in
the one we had
California. And when it's 60 here, it feels warmer than it did when it was 70 when we came from Murrieta. And it's beautiful here. You can see from where we are right now. I mean, you know, it's a little chilly in the wind, in the shade, but I wouldn't change it for anything. It is gorgeous here.
How are your utilities running over the winter?
Oh my gosh, so much less.
We're
Probably
in shock.
we're in shock.
We're in shock. I kept saying to her, they're going to send us this massive bill. We made a mistake, something we didn't pay, and yet we didn't. It was just, wow. We have a neighbor just down the street from us, the mother of our other neighbor on our street. She was paying over $700 a month just for electricity alone, $750 or whatever.
Back in the old country?
Yes.
In California.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a friend from line dancing, Marcia. She said that she was paying, this is unimaginable, $1,200 a month for electricity in winter when the electric bill is generally lower, although lower is relative.
And we were paying
It's crazy.
over $400 with 2
It's a long story. but-
solar systems on our house, and we were still paying $400. Here, it's a fourth of that? Maybe
it's-
not even that.
Our
It's
electric bill was $67,
something like that.
The last
it's
bill from
nothing.
March something to April something. I don't know the exact date.
Right.
And we have the heat on like we did there.
Our son has Renaults, and so we have to have the heat cranked up for him because his hands go cold on him. You know, he
Well,
has
yours do
issues.
too.
Yeah, but not as much.
Yeah.
And it's the paying utilities is not an impediment
Oh,
to.
no, it's,
No, we're saving
it's
money
a shock. I'm just
between
shocked by
our
how little it is. You know,
between our
our gas bill, our natural gas bill too.
Right.
I remember in the past in California in the summertime, our natural gas bill was like $49 in summer, which we thought was the cat's meow.
Right.
And then in winter, of course, it went up to about 100, 120, right?
Yes.
More or less doubled. Well,
And the
no,
water bill
no,
too was
quadruple.
crazy.
but they kept making changes and forcing the utilities to raise the rates because of climate change, and they're saving the planet.
Right.
And our summer bill ended up being about 100 to 120 over a
Oh,
period
maybe
of last
150 too
last
at one
5
point.
years, and then the winter bill was like 250, 260 at least, right?
It was terrible.
Just for one item,
Right.
gas, natural gas.
Oh my gosh.
And the
We
water
haven't
bill
even-
there for our yard, we had we didn't have that big a yard. It was like about a quarter acre. And before we left, in the winter time, it was down to about 100 a month.
Mhm.
That's in winter. We hardly use it. I don't use it in winter. I just turn it off.
Right.
After a heavy rain, it stays wet for a couple months sometimes. And then in summer, it was like 160 just for that. And on it goes, add them up. It's horrible.
It was
Right.
terrible. It
I was just looking
terrible.
at the gas prices today on my phone. I was looking at the Shell station here in Star, and it's 3:30.
Mhm.
And I looked up the Shell station in Murrieta, which is, where, on Madison, Hot Springs.
Yeah.
It's 490.
Amazing.
And so I'm figuring I'm saving like $25 every time I fill up.
Especially if we go to
Also.
Costco too.
Well, that's even less.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Or
dollar
Fred
80.
Meyer's is even less too.
It's a- There's a $1.60 difference between Shells here in California, and a $1.87 difference if we didn't go to the Shell here there, but we went to Costco here. So wow.
Everything here is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a rough time getting here though. That was
Yeah,
what
that
we
was-
Okay,
wanted to
so
talk about.
everybody that comes up here has to go through that process of, moving and packing and
it's
stuff
Yeah.
like
very
that. and
stressful.
It
Yeah.
is stressful.
Very
what
extreme.
What did you guys do and what did you learn?
We learned a whole lot.
I don't ever
about-
want to move again. That's it.
Yeah. No,
Ugh.
we're here for
Ugh.
good. What people have
Gotta
to
wipe my
realize
nose.
is that
Flowing from the shade.
there are moving companies that will scam you any way they can, including, I'm going to just say the names, including the pod company. They're not as low as they say they're
No,
going to
not once
be.
you get actual
They charge you
price.
for every single item, every single move, bringing the pod trucks in, dropping them off, every little item they charge you for.
Mhm.
And it adds up really, really quickly. So we didn't go that route. What we did, and I did, was I started getting information from different movers. And once movers find out that you're moving, they start hassling you and calling
Oh, yeah.
and calling.
Oh, yeah.
And you even gave us the name of a company, And
locally,
I did check on them, and I wish we had listened better to them, but all the prices we were getting were very high, which we were really surprised about, because they go by pound and they go by size of the truck, which we didn't know any of this because we hadn't
Cubic
moved for
feet, I
25
think.
years. Cubic feet.
Cubic feet, I think.
Yeah.
Is the amount of space you use.
And so I kept calling and calling, and there was one company that outbid all the other 15 companies. So I narrowed it down to like 6 companies and then 4 companies. And the one company that we went with, which was a mistake, and I'm going to tell people to stay away from them. They said they were from California, from Ontario, California. They were not. And you also want to know the difference between a broker and what's the other one called? The actual, actual moving company. You don't want brokers, and you have to be careful of the fine print, which was my mistake. They farm out to other companies, and that was my mistake because how many of us read small print? You know, especially when they have it covered up, and they say sign here. And I didn't know what I was signing. And as seniors, they take advantage of you. And they say, oh, we're going to beat this person's price and we're going to beat that person's price. And everyone starts calling you and harassing you to the point where you start getting really stressed.
Right.
So this one company, and the guy's name was Abe, and he said, we're in Ontario and we have storage for you for free for a month. And I thought, well, that sounds really good. And all the prices that we were getting he was the least expensive. So I said, okay, can you guarantee me this and this? And I was asking him like specific questions. They wanted me to write down every little item that we were going to move. And we were packaging everything ourselves, except for the heavier stuff that we thought they can do themselves.
And we had to number the boxes and give them the size, like small, medium, large, and we put numbers in every box.
We labeled everything.
We had boxes in the garage, so many boxes you wouldn't believe.
And we videotaped everything.
The whole story, it'd take forever.
No, it would.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this company is called Golden Gate Relocation.
Okay.
And what we found out, they are not from California. And we found this out through the lawyer we're going through, because they ended up charging us double what they asked us, what they told us.
I won't get into details.
No, I'm not going to.
But they didn't tell you it was going to be double until after they had all of possession of all your stuff?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
and we'd agreed to
and
use
we
them.
had signed the papers. We never got initially, we had to do it through, if you do it through a credit card, they charge you 8% of whatever your fee is going to be. And we didn't know this because going into it, and I have the original notes and stuff I took, they gave me a price. And then I said, well, what if I want to add to it or take away from it or whatever? And they said, well, we'll allow for that. And I'll only charge you an extra $500 or whatever. And then like for a china cabinet, which we ended up selling or giving away. So when I kept trying to call, as it was getting closer to what we wanted our move date to be, the phone kept ringing and I couldn't get an answer. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call from somebody named Whitney in Florida. And she said, oh, well, that guy he had to go on leave because his mother was sick or something like that. Well,
but she said that he had no authority to make promises to you.
Right.
The only promises were supposedly in writing on the contract.
But it was all oral.
And so all of this stuff.
So his prices were beating everybody's, including more than one from Idaho and all the other ones that we had looked at. And so I kept thinking, okay, that's good. So over the phone, I had to do it through my credit union. I gave them because I had to split it up into two payments. And they said, okay, and we'll have a big enough truck because I videotaped everything we wanted moved. And he gave us a price. And I said, okay. And we gave him, I thought, half of what the price was going to be. Well, when they got there a day early which we didn't even know they were coming that day.
That was a
And
total fiasco.
yeah, and we were like, what? You're not supposed to be here till October 23rd. And they came October 22nd. And they said, you can't have a specific date unless you pay more money. So I said, well, you didn't tell us
Keeps
that.
getting more interesting. Yeah.
And then they started just taking stuff out of our house. We said, okay, well, I guess we'll just sleep on the floor tonight.
Which we ended up doing.
Yeah, and they pushed everything into the smaller truck. And then I realized we went out and we started kind of videotaping it. They weren't going to get everything into the smaller truck.
Right.
So they said, well, we need to call our boss. And what was this guy's name? Dennis?
I forget, but
and Abe
what they
was the
said
boss.
was that we or they underestimated by about 25% on the amount of items, supposedly. So then they jacked it up some more and just kept doing that. And they did not have enough room in that truck.
No,
I think they said
they were breaking
23
things as they pushed
cubic
things
yards
in.
instead of 27. It ended up, and we got rid of a lot of stuff too. We just figured, why move all this heavy stuff? You know?
Right.
Oh my.
But
We
so
got
it
rid of
turned out
all of
to-
our living room furniture.
Turned out to be a total
everything.
nightmare is what it happened.
So they said they were going to come back with a bigger truck the next day. Well, they didn't. They came back with another small truck.
Right.
Well, like it was a rental, wasn't it? Like a
Yeah.
giant bobtail type truck.
Yeah.
Not a truck.
And he came back and said, well, my boss is going to charge you $4,000 or $5,000 more because we didn't know that you had that much stuff. I said, well, I videotaped and gave you as, live.
Right.
And so to make a long story short,
It turned out to be a nightmare.
he said,
It was
well, if you
just
give
a
me
nightmare.
$2,000 more in cash right now and sign this paper, I won't tell my boss.
Oh my gosh.
And
Just
so
awful.
That is
Just-
shady.
he said otherwise,
It was
it was very shady. And he was covering the paper so I couldn't even read what I was signing. And that was my mistake. I should have said, let me see it. But what he was showing me was a copy of a copy, and it was very illegible. You couldn't read it anyhow. And that was my mistake again. But I signed it. I checked it off, but I was checking off that it was going to be by pound, 60 cents by weight, and not by what the
Guaranteed.
item was.
It was
and that
guaranteed by weight, not by the value of the items.
right, like
So if you have
jewelry
a
or stuff like that.
$5,000 diamond ring and it disappears because they stole it, you get
Which
10
is what
cents for it,
happened.
which is the bottom line for us.
Yeah.
And everything. It just,
Really?
and they
Yeah.
disappeared about $9,000 worth of property.
Or damaged.
They disappeared a box spring, a mattress, and a headboard,
For a guest room.
and a barbecuer. Stuff just disappeared. It just never showed up. It was like unbelievable.
Oh
And there
my
was a bunch of other stuff that we just, it's hard to keep track because we didn't make
We
a
had
list we had a list of all the boxes and I label what's on them, but if the box isn't there, I don't remember everything.
Right.
A lot of
So,
things were taken or broken.
so
We had antique
unbelievable.
furniture that we still have a little bit of it in
They
the garage.
damaged a bunch of stuff.
That
too,
was
a lot
very,
of
very
damage.
old.
So
Like-
then once you got in and you got your stuff, you saw damage and missing, so you filed a claim and then they paid you
Yes.
back, right?
No, they
Right.
offered us $75 for $9,000 worth of damage or stolen property.
Because it was by weight.
Right.
Yeah, and
So
our son
we got
listed
really-
everything. We
really
took video of
shafted.
everything. We have a video of everything.
Oh my goodness.
And so they said we had 9 months to file the claim. Well, we've done that since then. And we said, we're not accepting your $75. That's ridiculous. So we have gone to a lawyer. We did file with the police in Marietta, California, and we filed here.
But
They told us what we have to do
I would
is go back to our old insurance company from our old house to see if we
Our
had
homeowner's
our
policy.
homeowner's
Right.
policy,
see if they would cover
because
it.
it's different, the one here, and we had just gotten into the house. They had our furniture and all of our items for 2 weeks, supposedly in Ontario. We don't know if that's the case or not. And, then the day that they were supposed to move us in, we get a phone call from this Whitney lady who had been
Oh, yeah.
so sincere and so kind and nice to us. And that day, she was extremely rude to us and said, you either pay us the rest of the money oh, we're keeping your furniture for 30 days, all your stuff for 30 days.
Nice.
And, you know, we're seniors. We didn't know any of this because last time we moved, which was 25 some years ago, we moved ourselves. We were younger and healthier.
We
So
moved
they-
locally, though.
and we
too.
moved
Yeah,
locally.
it wasn't this far.
So, and we had rented our trucks. We had done all of it ourselves.
Right.
So, or had friends helping us. But this was a big out of state move. So for people thinking of moving, you need to check all your boxes
Right.
and check everything because this was our mistake that we've learned from.
And you guys are learning from that too. Just
Absolutely.
because somebody's throwing out a low number at the beginning doesn't mean it's going to be that cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not at all. Not at all. So it
To
doubled
make sure they're
itself.
reliable too, and you can
Yeah.
trust them.
And
So
they
that lady basically blackmailed us into paying extra money right at the end because they wouldn't bring our stuff.
Right.
and, the, and
She said, "We're
as
just
soon
not
as I
gonna
sent the
deliver."
money, 10 minutes
yeah.
later they showed up at our house with two
Yeah.
trucks.
Yeah,
One
just
truck, the people that were from
almost
here,
like an extortion racket.
Yeah.
I swear.
they were. One truck showed up and they were from here and they were very nice and they stayed to help us with the mess that the other truck, we don't even know who they were or what happened, but all of a sudden they said, okay, we're leaving now. And we knew that our stuff was in the other truck that they took off with. Because I kept saying,
We don't know where it went.
yeah, we
we're
said,
just
where's our
guessing.
other
We don't know.
bedroom set, our guest bedroom set?
How do you
Where is
lose
this?
that
Where
much
is
stuff?
that?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
And then I
not all
said,
of it, it's just
you
part of
know,
it.
and then they damaged our curio cabinet that fell over. They didn't put it back together. We didn't know it, and it fell and damaged our
glass-
brand new. The glass fell.
the glass fell out of the door, so because of whatever they did when they moved it.
to a brand new
Then
house.
it gouged the floor, brand new floor in the new house. We had to have somebody come and fix that, and just
And they
it
damaged
just
some
on
paint
on
and some
on.
walls were damaged.
Right.
I'm so glad we're beyond that.
Yeah,
Yay.
it was horrible. And so
And
for people out there wanting to move, yes, move. Idaho is we love it
I'm going to
here.
put my coat on.
And we would
I'm
do it
getting cold.
again, for sure.
I'm cold.
But
Anyhow,
you have to be aware that there are scammers out there. And I'm very trusting of everybody. You know, I look for the good in everybody.
Right.
And I don't look for people that are bad.
So let me ask you guys, other than the moving thing, what's some other lessons that you learned about the moving process?
Just do your duty and check. Make sure that they are licensed to go from state to state.
that was
And,
one of our niece does paralegal work.
and she
and
works
she
for
was-
a lawyer.
And she's worked for lawyers for years, and she said that they weren't properly licensed on the tractor. You have to have a DOT number and a motor coach number. But they did have that.
One truck did.
No, the big truck, the tractor.
Oh, yeah.
The tractor had that, and I don't know about the rental truck. That was probably, I don't know. Well, something too that if you're going to move, start about a year in advance to clean out your garage. I learned that lesson. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. It was like 110 to 112 degrees when I was trying to clean the garage out.
And you
What-
brought everything with you?
No, not so. We got
but
rid
there's
of
a
a
lot.
lot of stuff. Long
It's
story.
still
but
a lot.
we didn't move a lot of it. We just couldn't. I had no idea what would have happened with all that extra stuff, huh?
Oh my.
They would have more stuff to disappear, I guess. But
Right.
start early in the garage. That was my mistake. Wow.
I
learned
had
my
started
lesson.
early on the inside of the house.
She
'cause I
did. She
knew.
started in March.
I
It sounded like
did.
you're very organized with boxes and labeling.
We did. You have to label everything and
Except
you have
the
to write
garage.
it down and take pictures so you know what you have. And just do your homework. I thought I did. I thought I was doing a good job, and I did not.
Well, you learned a lesson.
We've definitely learned a lesson.
It sounds like a big part of this whole, not just the movers, but the moving, was that you guys came up and did a fact-finding trip.
We
We
did.
did.
Because without doing that, you wouldn't have known that Idaho was the one.
No, we would not have.
fact-
And that's what people need to do.
In fact, our son was telling us we should move to Texas, or we should move to North Carolina, or Tennessee. Or wherever. And I've been all over the country, and I know what the weather's like east of the Rockies. Humid continental climate, and it's not like it is here. you have so many natural disasters in those states. You know, tornadoes,
hurricane flooding,
remnants, trash North Carolina, and Texas, and the Gulf Coast, and flooding. We just had flooding in Kentucky and so on. I mean, you don't have that here.
Yep.
Don't have the earthquakes.
No.
Don't have the
Rarely if they
tornadoes,
do.
and
No.
on and on. So really,
You have the rain, you have some snow. It wasn't bad at all. If you want heavy snow, you go to northern Idaho or you go to the mountains.
Go to the mountains
But
if
this
you want heavy
area
snow.
here is very similar to, I would say, Temecula, Murrieta.
Okay.
I mean, we had snow there a couple of times while we were there, and it was fine.
not regarding the snow though. That's a different animal. But
Yeah, it wasn't horrible though. It was beautiful.
Did it take you very long to get used to driving in the snow?
wasn't a problem. I learned to drive when I.
Right.
He
grew
grew
up.
up where there was snow. I mean,
So
it's
not a
not bad. You just need to go slower and you need to be respectful. Everyone here is mostly, I would say 95% of the people here are very respectful driving. You have a few, and
That's
we blame them.
different here, too.
We say they're Californians.
That's what I say when I see some clown driving like a fool. Must be from California.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's common practice over there. It's like every time you go out, you're going to get offended by at least 4 or 5 people. It's just the way
In
life is over
California,
there. Oh
yeah.
It's
The
just
traffic
awful.
there is
Awful.
all the time.
Well, you hear people here complain about traffic. Can you compare the two?
There is some traffic because the streets weren't designed for all the people coming here from mostly California, but Washington and Oregon also, escaping the tyranny that's there. And it is tyranny. But you know what? It's traffic in the morning, traffic in the evening. But like when we do line dancing, when we go, if you go at the rush hours, yeah, there's some traffic. But then when it's gone, it's gone. It's not like where it's all the time
Got a
there.
duck.
That was a duck.
Trying out for the movies. He was sitting.
We
over there
love the
watching.
Canadian geese here, by the way. They're not here right now, but they were here during the winter.
So
And we've had ducks on our yard, and we love it. I've got videos of it. But no, it's not the same. And I think as they're building the streets to be wider,
There is construction going on.
there's a lot of construction
over.
going on,
Yeah,
and
it's all over.
like Star, they're building it out like mad. And I'm just really excited to be here. We couldn't be more pleased. I mean, I feel safer here. And Murrieta, when we moved there, felt like it was one of the safest, nicest
Kind of like
places to
being
be.
here.
Yeah, but it was like from 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
There were like 28,000 people there then.
Yeah.
Now it's over 120 or something.
Yeah, between
like
Murrieta, Temecula, and Menifee, there's over 600, 700,000 people there now. And the streets and the freeways haven't kept up with it.
One little area of California too. That's a sad part.
So you guys do line dancing, so that means you're probably out late at night. And do
Yes.
you ever feel like you're not safe anywhere when you're out?
No,
No.
no.
Excellent.
And you can carry a gun here if you want.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, in California, they don't even want you to be able to protect yourself.
Well, you can't even have a plastic straw there.
Can't have much of anything there. I
No.
remember one year on January 1st, they announced the new laws in California. They had created almost 1,000 new laws in 1 year. 900 and some laws. It's like,
Yeah.
it's maddening.
And you probably violated most of them.
We probably did.
Elon Musk said that a while back. He said, because he used to live in California, he said, there's laws, so many laws in California that if they want to, I'm sure they could find you broke some law in some way. And that's the mentality over there. It's just like a police state. It's
I
terrible.
think people, because we've heard
Just sick
so
of
many horror stories when we were in California about Idaho and the
I
negativity.
didn't hear that.
What did you hear?
Oh, that it's predominantly white. It's predominantly, and it's not. I find it very mixed.
Why is that a
depending
horror
on,
story?
no, but you know,
Wait a
that's
minute,
not. It's
I wanna
not.
question that.
No, but you know what I mean. That it's that because we're of different faith, I can't wear my star out, that we can't do this, that we can't do that, that there's going to be all this negativity. And it's not like that at all. People just say, don't put your stuff, do whatever you want behind closed doors. Don't put it, don't shove it down my throat. And that's how we feel. And in California, that's all you hear is all this negativity. And if you don't think like they do, there's something wrong with you, but it's not.
Right.
And here, I feel perfectly comfortable discussing anything, being who I want. It's just a wonderful place to raise a family, if you have a family. It just feels, I feel like I've gotten my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's,
You're not always looking out to see who's going to get you.
no. And our other home, to be honest, was broken into a couple of times. And here, and we thought we were in a safe neighborhood, and we weren't. And the noise level there was awful.
It
And
is
where
so
we are
quiet
now
where
is
we
so
live.
quiet. We're like,
I'm almost like I'm expecting noise. Why is it so quiet?
Right.
Like when I take the dogs out late at night, it's like,
So you guys must live way out in the middle of the country somewhere.
no,
You're,
star.
you're right here in a regular
We got
in a regular
we got
subdivision.
cows and horses a half a mile away, so
Right.
whatever.
Oh,
I
that's
hear
awesome.
the horses neighing and the cows mooing. But
I would recommend people who have their doubts about Idaho to come out and visit, just like we did. And we even brought our son the following year, and we didn't say a word to him. We said, we just want you to get your own opinion, just like we did. And he immediately, we didn't say a word to him, and he said, I like it here.
Nice.
And we didn't say a word to him. We just said, this is the place we're going to move to. You can choose to do what you want.
Right.
And that's what he's doing.
Pretty smart kid, huh?
He is. He is. And he's mostly here with us, but he goes back to California. And the one comment he made just recently, because he's there right now, is he said, I really see the difference in traffic right now. And he
did you
said,
not?
yeah, because he was saying, oh, there's this traffic, going from here to Meridian or to Nampa, and depends on the time you go. But he said after being there, like in Orange County, he said, oh my gosh, there's so much traffic and so much going on here.
it's easy to forget
Yeah,
quickly too.
I
Yeah.
bet so.
you do.
We
But
had times when we went from our house to our niece's house for a holiday, or her mom's house, and it would take us 3 hours.
How far away was that?
About 85 miles.
85
about 100,
miles.
maybe 95 miles.
something
But
like
it shouldn't take 3.5 hours.
Oh,
It was
Yeah.
stop and go traffic out in the middle of nowhere, like going to Vegas too,
Right.
in California.
that. It could take us,
You can stop and go traffic out
Yeah.
in the middle of the desert. It's like,
yeah. It should have been a
Unbelievable.
4
It's
hour
just
to
hard to
5
believe.
hour if you stop for something to eat.
Yeah.
And I remember one time it took us 8 hours to get home from Vegas.
oh my gosh.
So
yeah, it should be a 5-hour drive, and we're slow. We stop and get
Right.
coffee and swap
But
drivers.
8 hours is ridiculous because
Out
it's
in the
bumper
middle
to
of the
bumper in the middle of the desert.
Stop and go traffic in the middle of the desert. It's unheard of. It's like only in California, I guess, huh?
So to wrap up, do you guys have any words of advice for someone that might be watching this thinking, can I move? Is it worth all the effort?
Yes. It was a hard move for us.
If you want your freedom,
Yes. And people here are friendly, they're helpful. I would say most of the people we met are, to be honest, are ex-Californian
And the nicest people, aren't they?
and so friendly and so willing to help out and pitch in and become your friend. And people that are from Idaho are just as friendly. They're not what you hear all these Californians saying about people from Idaho. It's not that way at all. It's so different. I just don't know what to say to make people see that it's not this cold, blizzard, nasty, unfriendly place. And to go to, people always ask us about medical here. The one thing that we found out was you do have to have all your medical stuff in place because they do want everything, all your stuff backed up, and you need to have referrals. Even if you have, like, we have really good health insurance. We pay maximum. We still pay for our insurances from California. We haven't switched it yet. But everything, once
Mine's
it fell
still
in
right
line, we have the best doctors. They're immediate. I mean, I went to the doctor today. I got in, got out. You go to if you have to go to urgent care, you don't wait 8 hours. If you go to the hospital for ER,
I
you're
got
in
one.
and out quickly.
I got one. I got one.
What's that, Terry?
We've been to the doctor when our son had the kidney problem. Remember?
Yeah,
We were in that place, 7 hours before they saw him, maybe?
in California.
6 or 7 hours at the hospital or emergency room. There was a young girl there with a broken arm. She never got seen all those hours. There was another guy in a wheelchair. It was every hour or so they'd come and change his
California.
bandage, and he would bleed all over the floor, a big puddle of blood. We're talking hours and hours just to get seen over there. And so a couple months back, our son had a problem. I took him over to the
Nampa.
Nampa, to the St. Alphonsus, by off Garrity, by your office.
Right.
Maybe he's in there. We were there, I don't know, not even 5 minutes. They took him in. And I sat down in the waiting room. There was only one other guy in the waiting room for the family.
Right.
And I was only there 5 minutes. They told me, yeah, come on in. You can just join the party.
Right.
And there was nobody there waiting. It's
It was in and out.
another world.
Oh my gosh.
And our son's girlfriend is an ER nurse.
In Orange County.
And she's already burnt out. She's only been working about 8 years, I think. It's just maddening over there.
Yeah.
She said they can wait 24 hours before they're seen by somebody in Orange County.
Sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And it doesn't matter if it's a weekend or a weekday or a holiday or anything. And here it's just, hi, and they remember your name and they call you back.
Oh,
They're-
that happened when we were here in October.
yeah, when we were first here fact finding, I had COVID.
When she gave me COVID, yeah. She
Yeah.
gave it to me.
And the next day he had to go for paperwork because we had to extend our time until we could fly
No,
home.
we had to also get paperwork to bill the insurance. We had insurance.
Yeah.
And the lady remembered my name, our names.
Really?
Yeah.
like, wow.
It's just great. We are so happy we moved.
Well, where I worked in Los Angeles, everything was graffiti.
Well, it
There was
started
nothing-
happening in Marietta too.
Nothing that wasn't graffitied over there. I mean, the traffic signs.
Right.
They climb on top of the single-story businesses and lean over the edge of the roof and put it on the roof.
And
The
you see
freeway.
that same thing up here, right?
No.
There's no graffiti here.
And
What
you know
you-
another thing, I walk into the restroom, and in California, and all the chrome faucets, they would scrawl their gang initials on everything there. You don't see that here either.
Right.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, the only time I saw anything that concerned me was towards Caldwell. Was in when we got lost. We went to
I wasn't concerned. I was just having trouble figuring out how to get turned around in that parking lot. What a weird parking lot. I couldn't
Winco.
Right.
get turned
That was the only
around.
place I
It
felt
was
a little
weird.
uncomfortable was the Winco and Caldwell.
After working in LA for 30 years, I don't see that
Well, I
as
was in South
uncomfortable.
Central LA
I'm
too.
sorry.
I taught there for 8 years. in Watts.
We saw it all.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
living
But
there and working over
There's
there.
no graffiti here except at Freak Alley.
Right.
Well, that's okay. I like that graffiti.
It's art,
I have a long
yeah.
video. I have a video of that when we were here the
Yeah. So
second time. Yeah.
yeah. I would recommend people come and do fact finding like we did.
So when you came up for your fact finding, what happened? Did Maureen put you in the car? And
Yes, and then we said we followed her after we felt we were safe enough because they gave us medicine for the COVID.
Right.
So we waited a few days and then we followed her and she showed us around. And
I think she took us out once before you came down with COVID.
yeah,
So we got here on a Saturday, and then Sunday we
we went on our own. She said travel around and find areas that you
Went to
feel like it's
Boise.
home.
the Capitol.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. To go downtown is nothing like if you go downtown to San Diego or LA or Riverside. Well, Riverside is it's okay, but
You don't want.
Yeah, you don't want to go there. It's not safe.
Right.
And to go downtown to Boise, it was like people were dressed nice and it's beautiful and clean. And we were like, we were in shock. And this was in the fall. And we went to the village, and that was like going to La Jolla's village, but even nicer and friendlier. And people just talk to you and say hi to you as you're walking.
Right.
And it is just
You
so
say hi to
different.
somebody in California, they think you're either gay or you want to mug them.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's just the reality over there. Everybody's just like really unfriendly.
There's a dog running around there.
Very
It's so
unfriendly,
cute.
very unfriendly place. People are really just not open at all. Not
So
at all.
night and day difference.
Oh,
Night
yeah.
and day.
Not
Night
at
and
all.
day.
Wow. Well, I am so glad that you guys are up here. I'm so glad that you shared your story, because I know that was painful.
It was very painful. It was a tough move. Would we do it again? Yes. To be here? Yes. And I have to put some kudos out for you and Maureen,
Okay.
because we've had even friends that are realtors, and nobody except you guys have taken us under their wing. And people said, oh, they're just trying to get your money or whatever. But you guys have become friends. Every time we have a question, you guys are there for us. You meet us for coffee. You meet us for lunch. You meet us for things like this. We're looking forward to meeting when you get everyone together in October.
Our big customer appreciation picnic. Yeah.
Yeah, we are looking forward
We
to
just
that.
missed it by about 2 weeks, huh?
By 2 weeks, yeah. And it's not the same. I mean, even like I said, we have friends that are realtors, and you know, all of a sudden we're everybody's best friend, you know, when they know that they can make a buck off of you. You guys haven't been like that at all. I mean, you recommended doctors to us, dentists, everything, and you're always there for us.
Yeah. And you know,
And-
we both went through that same thing, the
Right.
relocation.
It's
And we know it is stressful, and we just want
Very
to,
difficult.
we want you to have somebody that, you know, that can be there for you.
Yeah, and we feel like you guys were our very first friends more than realtors when we came here. So, like, we had to transport our cars, and we couldn't put them in the Airbnb we stayed at, and we couldn't leave them at our house, which wasn't finished yet.
Can only have two
So,
cars there.
yeah, and they
so-
only allowed 2 cars there, or 1 car. So Maureen said, bring her to my house. And it was like, okay, and Thanksgiving, you're at our house, it's fine.
Yeah.
And, you know, who does that? Not in California.
It's Idaho. We do
It's
things different
Idaho.
here.
You do. And so I feel like we've been Idahoans at heart because we wanted to move about 3 or 4 years ago. And like I said, we couldn't until we got the health okay.
Right.
And we know
So
people in all these other states that I mentioned previously, like Texas, North Carolina.
we have friends all
and
over.
all over the place. And
It's not like that.
it's just so many bad things going on with the weather alone, if you look at it that way.
Right.
Wow. Just bad.
Well, I'm so glad you guys are here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you guys came along and got to meet Deena and Terry and listen to their story. And well, I tell you what, if you like this, and we're in Star right now, if you want to know more about Star, watch this video here. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And guess what? We're going to see you guys on the next video.